Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. This is Deep Cuts Reactions, and my name's Greg. And God, man, I'm so pissed today. I can just hardly stand it. I'm sure you guys have heard news, and I realize, that I post stuff, and then, maybe somebody watches it 3 months later or more, and what I'm saying is irrelevant. But uh, Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of, well, he's calling himself the Secretary of War now instead of Defense, but he gathered all the generals and admirals in the military, all of them, and made them come to Washington, D.C. to listen to this stupid little speech he did. Really insane. I mean, I won't even go into it, but the really significant part was that Donald Trump comes in there and gives his little rambling ass speech. But one of the things he said was, there's the enemy within, and he was planning on using the military going into the cities, into American cities that are run by Democrats, as a, part of their training. And it's like, man, the military is trained for something completely different. I mean, first of all, there's that. I mean, I had somebody I knew that was in Iraq, and the military is trained to fight and to view things as a threat. And on one of the occasions, this guy was telling me that there was some kid that had a box with wires coming out of it. What's the first thing you think of? Is that it's a bomb, because it could just as easily be a bomb. And so they were telling him to shoot the kid, and it may have been the prudent thing to do. I mean, God knows, after Vietnam, people did understand that, they'd send kids in on a suicide mission, but he just couldn't do it. And fortunately, it was just a kid with a box of wires. That's all it was. But you don't know. You're taught to view everything as a threat, and with good reason. So that's what he wants to put into the cities, into Democratic-run cities. It just, first of all, it's illegal. Under the Constitution, all this shit's illegal, but he just does it anyway. But the generals were pretty appalled because, they know that that would be an illegal order. So anyway, like I say, I'm just so pissed about it. And then to make it worse, I I'd heard snippets of the speech on the news, and then also the late night comics, did it. And so I heard parts of it, and I heard when the generals, actually reacted. They were stoic during this whole thing because, they don't participate in politics. But he said, talking about deploying troops to the cities, they were aghast and made noise. And so I wanted to catch all the context. So I, tried listening to this like hour and a half speech that Trump gave, and because I was looking for that point. Like I said, I wanted the context. So I'm listening to a minute, skipping forward, listening to a minute, skipping forward. And by the end of it, I thought my head was going to explode. I was so freaking pissed, man. But anyway, it's just, it's Good Morning America, man. It's, oh, yeah, and the other part of it was, all these generals and admirals have to fly back to their duty stations commercial. So, first of all, since we're having a government shutdown, they don't get paid. All the military, they have to continue to do their jobs, but they won't get paid until the government shutdown is over. And so here's these generals having to fly home. They're not getting paid. They have to go through the TSA inspections and all of that. Those guys aren't getting paid. And then their planes are controlled by air traffic controllers who are not getting paid. So that doesn't sound like a good situation to me. Morale, I'm sure, in all those departments is just just in the pits. And I know during the last government shutdown that a lot of the TSA agents called in sick. So you had, you didn't have enough people, and the people that were there were pissed. And, who knows if they were doing their job to the best of their ability, or if they were just, everybody goes to work. You know how it is. If you have a day that you're pissed, or if you went to your job and they told you, well, we're not going to pay you for, could be a month, could be 2 months, we don't know. We have no idea. But you're fine with going ahead and working, aren't you? You would be pissed. And so that's the conditions that all these government workers are, these essential workers. That's the conditions they're working under. So, like I say, not a real great situation. Anyway, enough of that crap. I know I talk politics, but it's my little contribution to resisting the direction we're going in this country. It's really scary. So let's listen to some music. So the other day I played the Saints, and then I played a song by Ed Cooper. And so this is another band that he was in called the Laughing Clowns. So I'm curious about this. This is called Eternally Yours, and I guess this is a video from 1984. So let's give it a listen.
I've seen the leisure that suits you. I see your reasons, your point of view. There must be more that you can do when you're love's done. You've seen the knife, you've felt the pain. I've heard it time and time again. These must be times I'd hit the miss and empty kiss.
shit, it's over. God, man, that was incredible. Just incredible. That was really, really nice. You know, I I was uh, I was hearing his voice, but I wasn't hearing anything that he said, really. You know, I completely missed the lyrics because I was so intent on the various instruments and what they were doing. The God, the drumming was just so solid, and bass, the bass was just outrageous, man. They were mixing up, or he was mixing up, really simple bass lines, keep it going with some really complex shit. I mean, it was just a cool mixture of the two. I thought it was really awesome. And then the guitar, you know, the whole thing was just really, really creative, kind of psychedelic, and experimental. I don't know, man. Everything about it, I just loved. When I was looking for this, I found a live version that was like 13 minutes long or something. And, I wanted to go ahead and play this first, but I'm sure at some point I'm going to go back and do that on the channel here because I listened to, a couple of minutes of it and just decided, no, I can't listen to this now. I've got to do this on the channel, and hopefully, I can get away with the whole thing. But it was just so righteous, that, yeah, I want to hear that long jam and everything like that. That was, God, what a great band. And the saxophone, man, kind of taking the lead, just, I don't know, it created this kind of mystical sound or something. I don't know that, that seems like probably a weird word to attach to this, but that's just kind of how I felt. It was really great music. So I'm sure I will come back to a lot of stuff by this guy. And it's really difficult sitting here just coming into all this music, and here I've got a piece like that where I'm trying to listen to everything and comprehend what they're doing and all this, and so I've got this big chunk of music here that I'm trying to hear, and I'll have to listen to it 5 or 6 times easily. I'll listen to a bunch of this stuff in my spare time, but man, that was awesome. So anyway, I'll be back, and hit like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and we'll see you all later. Bye-bye.